Well, hello again everyone, and welcome back to the van where it's still rather nippy. Now, I know many of you were keen for me to get to the bottom of this diesel heater problem and to be victorious in solving it and getting heat back in the van through that extra cheap eBay diesel heater, but it is the week before Christmas. We've got quite a lot of commitments coming up towards the actual Christmas weekend, and then after the weekend we're away, so it would be really good to have some heat in the van. We have got plug-in electrical heaters and we're planning on being on electric hookup, but even so, if we go out for the day in the van, or if we stop on the way, or all other sorts of circumstances such as power cuts and things, I'd really like to have an independent heat source in the van for when we are away in the depths of winter. So I have gone out and bought a replacement. And I've gone for the Maxpeedingrods 2 kilowatt heater. Quite a few people were recommending this, so I do have high hopes for it. Right, let's have a little look, see what we've got in the box. Well, firstly we do have a heater liberally sprinkled with bits of expanded polystyrene. And of course expanded polystyrene is just what you want in something that's going to get red hot. So that's great. And it is a very similar looking heater to the previous heater. Slightly differently shaped cap on the end. And what looks like a warning symbol to not unscrew the cap, so I don't want you dismantling this. But everything should be the same. It's got the fuel lines, same plug, same exhaust and air inlet. So I'm hoping I'll be able to use much of the same infrastructure, if you like, that's already in the van. I'm going to keep the improved fuel pump that I fitted because I think that is better. A few people did say, is it the right size fuel pump for the heater? And I have checked that, and it is a 1 to 5 kilowatt pump. So yeah, that covers 2, doesn't it? So hopefully, you know, anyway, if it doesn't work, I can always try the pump that come with the kit. Got a fuel tank. Well, we've already got a fuel tank installed, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then it's just got the box with all the usual bits and pieces, but the important thing is it has got a digital controller, so we'll have a closer look at that. So there we go, yeah, nice digital controller that a lot of people were saying I should get, and it's also got a little key fob thing which I think you can use to start it remotely, but I can't quite remember, did the previous one have this type of connection? I'm not sure. Might have to change the wiring loom over to the one that come with this one as well, perhaps. Let's take the old heater out and then we can have a look. So now it's basically time for me to go under the van and grovel around to undo the nuts from the bottom and undo the fuel line, exhaust and air inlet connections to the old heater so that I can lift it at the top. And that's going to be a lovely experience in these weather conditions. So yes, the wiring loom is essentially the same apart from the little connector for the control panel. which is a different type. We've got the sort of triangular type like this on the previous knob panel that we're trying to get rid of. So that means I've got to change the wiring loom, which means I've got to lift this plate up, which means I've got to unscrew this plywood plate, because the nuts for the turret plate are on the back of this bit of plywood that filled in where the old gas heater went. So that's a bit of a faff. Never mind, let's crack on with that. Now, I have hit a bit of a snag, of course. Why wouldn't I? Of course I've hit a snag. I'd forgotten, of course, that this plate is, I sealed it down with that heat resistant sealant stuff, didn't I, when I did the first install. So this wiring loom is essentially trapped here, and I can't get it out to replace a new one. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a hole saw to cut a hole just beyond, big enough to take the largest bit that has to go through, which is the fuse holder, and then I can cut carefully down to where that wiring loom is, pop the old wiring loom through. I'll have to disconnect it all underneath the van, and then I can pop the new loom through, and then, well, I think we'll test everything and see if it works first, but then I can make up some sort of cover just to pop over the old hole, like a keyhole sort of cover, to seal it up. This is not as straightforward as I hoped it might be. First thing to do though is to disconnect all the old wiring loom and undo all the cable ties and stuff underneath the van. Right, well, I've selected this hole cutter, which I think should allow us to get the fuse holder through, and therefore everything else through underneath. So I'm going to drill as close as I dare, really, to this previous hole. And now I should be able to just cut through there with my knife to free these wires. And then the new wiring loom, I have to feed in from the top down. That one for the controller I'll keep out. Oh, it's a bit tangled up, isn't it? Now, to fill in the hole a little bit, I've added some of these sticky rubber pads to sand off the wood a little bit to make sure they stuck, but I feel like they'll provide a little bit of a sort of a insulating quality and stop these wires rubbing against the edge of the wood. They're just sticky pads that I got, I think it's supposed to put them on the bottom of chair legs and things, but I actually got them to stop the mudguard rattling against the front forks. Also going to take off the old knob panel, of course. Right, let's fix this panel back down again. These wires, of course, will have to go underneath the van, apart from the control panel wire and the main wire for the heater. So as you probably saw there, I also put the studs in the bottom of the new heater and mounted the new heater down onto the plate. I've also connected up the control panel, but just loosely, just left it laying because I want to try this out and see if it works before I go mad and fit everything properly. I've also disconnected the leisure battery so there's no power going to the supply for it, and I've put the leisure battery on charge, and it is now fully charged. It hadn't really used much since last time. So now it's a matter of going back underneath the van, connecting up the wires and connecting up the fuel and the exhaust and the air intake, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty confident in the fuel arrangement. As I say, I've got that new pump on there. I could swap over if it doesn't work to the pump that's come with this kit. And yeah, I can't see a reason why this shouldn't work, but yeah, fingers crossed. Right, so that's everything connected up under the van. We've got the power connected up, and we've got the air and the exhaust connected up, the fuel connected up, and yeah, so oh, and the pump connected as well. So we should be good to go as far as under the van goes. I'm just going to reconnect the leisure battery because obviously this is fed off the leisure battery. Right, now I'm going to plug the heater main plug together with the power feed plug on the loom. Yeah, now we're saying, oh, we've got 13 volts, look. Shall we try turning her on? Okay. How do we turn it on? Maybe I should read the instructions. Right, well, what I have to do apparently is press this for more than 3 seconds to get it to start. I don't think it will need priming because we had diesel all the way up to the pump, and it's only a little way from the pump to the burner, and that bit was dripping diesel as well, so oh, I think I can hear it firing. Yeah, I think it's starting to blow warm. Yeah, no error codes yet. Yeah, nice clean burning exhaust as well. Yeah, and it's certainly getting nice and warm in here, and yeah, appears to be no problem so far. Well, what I've done, I've cranked that up to the highest setting, and I'm going to leave it to run for 15 minutes or so, because I don't want to turn it off straight away, just in case I cause more sitting problems. So I'm going to run it for 15 minutes or so at high power, and I'm going to shut it down, and then I'll go back underneath the van and tidy up all those wires and pipes and things, so it's a much neater installation under there, just with some cable ties like I did before. And then we'll have to address how we mount the new control panel. I think that should be fairly simple, really. Well, I've hit the off button on that, and it appears to have turned off okay. So now I'm going to go under the van again and just tidy up all those wires and cables and bits and pieces. Well, I'm glad I got all that stuff done underneath the van when I did, because yeah, it started raining now. It was forecast to rain, but it held off for most of the morning. Anyway, got to fix this control panel now. It comes with a little base plate that it clips into, and I think I can use that existing cut for the wire. Unfortunately, I can't route the wire through the back like I did with the knob panel, but it's got some little tiny screw holes in it. Didn't come with any little tiny screws though, but I have found some in the garage. So I'll disconnect the power on the heater and then feed the control wire through and fit the little plate on, and that should do the trick, I think. Well, look at that. Isn't she going along beautifully? I am rather pleased with that. So there we go, fantastic. A working diesel heater again. It is really nice and snug here in the van. So I'm happy that when we go away at Christmas, I'll be able to keep Nikki nice and comfortable and warm in the van, even if the weather turns pretty bad. So yeah, that is a good conclusion. I'm glad I swapped the old diesel heater out for this newer, more expensive model. I have kept the old diesel heater. You never know, we might try and tinker with it and fire it up and get it going again. But for the moment, it was a good thing just to get something in place and going to keep us warm while we are away over the Christmas period. So there you go, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in the next one.